Okay, so hi guys. So, um, basically, in the last video that I did for pre-algebra, I went over how to add and subtract integers. Now, one of the things that I also want to go over is how to multiply and divide integers. Now remember how I said an integer is really just a whole number, right? Now, here's the thing. One of the things is that a whole number, so we know that 1 is a whole number, 2 is a whole number, 3 is a whole number, 4 is a whole number. There is a property that says that we can rewrite these numbers as 1 over 1, 2 over 1, 3 over 1, and 4 over 1. That's one of the things that I really want to make sure that we understand, right? This is very essential for when you're doing once you get to algebra. It's very essential that you learn how to do this, because that way, so when you're adding fractions, or once you get to algebra, you're gonna face a lot of more difficult problems where it's going to give you not numbers but letters, and you're gonna have to know how to add those letters and those terms, right? And so the thing is that with integers, and since I am not really gonna do I'm not gonna do fractions just yet. I'm gonna do just integers, okay? This is, I mean, mostly we know that that we should already know kind of the times tables, and that's something that you do for when you're in 4th grade or 3rd grade, you learn about your times tables, multiplication mostly. And so now with integers, it's a little bit different. There are 3 rules. So there are 3 rules for integers. Number 1, we already learned about what a negative looks like. A negative has a number, so it has a little negative symbol. We know that this is a negative symbol. And I just want to make sure that we kind of understand, right? We know that, for example, like from what we learned last time, we know that negative 5 plus 3, that's if the negative number looks bigger, it's a negative, so it's negative 2. This is really negative the quantity 5. 5 minus 3, which is negative 2, right? But we don't have to worry about the second part yet. We're not there yet, right? Right now we're just kind of like dipping our feet in the water, So, the thing is, with negative numbers, okay, if you have a negative times a negative, that turns into a positive. So this is what, obviously we know that this is a negative number, right? We know that this is a negative number. And we also know that this is a negative number, right? And this is positive. So let's say I have something like negative 3 times negative 4. What is that? Well, that is really 12, because negative times negative is positive. We also know that positive, or let me do it this way, positive times a positive, that is just going to be positive, right? And so in reality, And then also there's negative times a positive. That's negative, right? So this is a little different than what, probably you've never learned about this before, but in math, these are the 3 rules, and as long as you remember these 3 rules, you'll be set to go. And that is why we're going to do a little bit of practice, right? If you're new to this, it's okay. It takes practice, and it takes time to understand these things, because I believe the reason why it's very hard is because we've been so used to positives, right, in elementary, and we've always multiplied positive numbers, and now it's with negatives, right? So we're gonna kind of do a little bit of review first. I want to do a little bit of review with how we multiply a number and why it is the way it is, right? Multiplying 2 numbers, really. The way this works is, let's say, so, okay, let me kind of color code this, right? We have a 5, and then we have times, and then we also have a 3, right? And I want to know what that equals, right? I don't know what that equals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, in reality, I know that, so the way that you would kind of think about this is, I have 5 of something, but I have it 3 times, right? So let's do it like this. Hold on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The group, this is 3 times, and then the amount is 5, right? Oops, didn't want to do that one. This is 5, right? So what is this entire thing? How many total do I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So really it's like this. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is 15. So really 5 times 3 is 15. So one of the things that we must remember is our times tables, right? Usually from 2 to 12. After that, it's not really like, we can use our basic rules for multiplying, right? For multiplying numbers. And so let me just recap exactly how we kind of multiply numbers, right? I'm gonna do 2, so basically 22 times 4. And I'm color coding them because I want to make sure we understand what we're doing. So what am I going to do first? I'm going to say, well, step 1, that is really just 2 times 4, right? And what is this going to equal? Well, if I do 2, let's say I have 2 lines, right? But I'm doing this repetition 4 times. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and then I'm going to do 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. How many do I have in total? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So what is this? This is 8. Now, what is this times this? So now I'm going to do step 2. What is 2 times 4 equal to, right? And this is just going to be, I'm going to do 2 4 times. 1, 2, So think of it as a group, right? This is 1, so this is 1. I'm going to do it again, 2, 3, and then 4. But how many do I have in total? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is really, so 2 times 4, I know again is just 8, right? So what is this? It's 88. This is 88. So I know that 22 times 4 is 88, right? That is kind of review. Now, what if, like, so basically, what if I have -3 times 1? Well, I know what 3 times 1 is, but what about -3 times 1? Remember, I said if a negative times a positive is negative, right? This is just -3. Now, if I have -3 times -1, this is 3, right? Let's see here, give me 1 second. So, let me go to, so give me 1 second, guys. So, this is something we must memorize about positive and negative integers, is that these are the 3 rules. So up here, where I said negative times negative is positive, positive times positive is positive, and negative times positive is negative. Anytime you have a negative and a positive together, the negative always wins over. You know, that's one way to think about it. Another way I've seen it done is when people do, well, -2 times -3, that's just +2 times +3, so that's 6. I've also seen it done like, so it is a lot more simple once you get to pre-algebra, and it makes a lot more sense why we do it the way we do it, because there are specific properties where you are, you know, where you're, so basically, let's say I have let's say I have -3 times 4, okay? And in reality, I can rewrite this as the following. Negative, the quantity, and I'm going to put a parentheses, and I say the quantity because it's a number. Okay. I'm going to say 3 times 4. Or I can say 3 times 4, just like, again, like I said it, right? What is this going to be? Well, I know that 3 times 4 is 12, so I have -12 like this. So now you just get rid of your parentheses. This is -12, right? What if I have -3 times -2? This is really just negative the quantity 3 times negative the quantity 2. Now so this is a little trickier. But we must remember that, like I said, negative times negative is positive, okay? So what is this? This is really going to be negative of negative. So it's going to be negative times 3 times 2, right? This is going to be, we said negative. What did we say negative times negative was? We said that was positive. So it's going to be positive. What is 3 times 2? If you do 1, 2, 3, and you do that 2 times. This is 1, this is 2, this is 1, 2, 3. So what is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is really going to be 6. Okay. And as long as you memorize these 3 rules, because these are very important, you will understand once, especially when you get to Algebra 1 and other harder math classes, you'll understand why it is the way it is. Now, if you are in, let's say you're in pre-algebra or you're learning about certain properties, there is a specific property that says, so for example, I can say the following, right? I can say the following. 3 times 4, that is really just 4 times 3, right? It's like if I say 10 plus 11, that is really just 11 plus 10, because it's the same thing. I'm adding the same thing. This is what we call, and I believe it is called, give me 1 second, everybody. So, give me 1 second. This is what we call the commutative property. So, for example, and here's the thing though, there's a rule, and this is why I'm going over this, because these 3 things explain why, in arithmetic, why it works like this. For example, and I'm gonna use numbers here. I can say the following. If I have negative 10 times 11, I can turn this as, so let's kind of color code here, right? I have negative, and I know I have a 10, so that's going to be one number, and I have times, and then I also have 11. What is this going to really be? I can do parentheses. This is really negative, and then parentheses, 10 times 11. So give me 1 second. So 10 times 11, right? I have it like this. Now what is 10 times 11? You're gonna do this one first. What is 0 times 1? So if I do it like this, hold on, so let me do it this way. Just for those of you who really don't know exactly how to multiply yet. So we can do it this way. Let me use a different color, like this. So number 1, what is 0, so my bad, 0 times, and I'm gonna say 1. What is 0 times 1? We know that anything times 0 is 0. Remember that. It's 0. Number 2, you're gonna do these 2. What is, and I'm gonna say, what is 1 times 1? Okay, so that's this part here. Okay, that is that part. Okay, I'm gonna say, well, 1 times 1, that's just 1. Put it right here. Let me color code this actually, hold on. So let me do it this way. Like that, so I know that this is equal to 0. Just so you guys know exactly how I'm doing the numbers, right? So I'm doing this as 0, right? And 1 times 1 I said was 1, right? So I'm gonna write that as let's see. I'm gonna write this as 1 like this, right? And then I say, okay, well, what is so the next one, the next part, what is let's see here. What is 1 times 1? Right? I'm going to do this part next. This part. What is 1 times 1? I'm going to say, well, that's 1, right? But I'm going to write it in a different color so that you guys can understand what I'm talking about. Give me a second. So this is 1, right? And then I say, okay, well, we know that there's a 0 placeholder here. Let's see, hold on. 0 times 1. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. So, the next thing that you would say, what is, so the third part actually. I'm sorry, guys. The third part would be, what is, so what is 0 times 1, right? What is, so once you do these two, you can take out the little signs, the little arrows, and you can do this one. What is 0 times 1? That's 0, right? So you're going to write it over here. And then what is 1 times 1 again? So like, but this time it's going to be this time is like, it's like this. Okay, so it goes it's like this. Give me 1 second. What is 1 times, and then I say 1, like that. And then I say, okay, well, that's 1. So in reality, that's this part here. Actually, let me use this color. So like this. Right? And then I just add all of them together, right? That's just how it is. So this is 0, 1, 1. So what is this? This is 110, right? The way I like to see it is if I have, and we can use letters for this, right? A, B, and then I can say, hold on, times, and then I'm gonna say C, and I'm gonna do D, okay. The way that I see it is like this. So I have, so the way that I'm gonna do it is I'm gonna do, so number one, it's gonna be B times, and I'm gonna do D, right? Number two, I do, so give me 1 second. I'm gonna just go ahead and write this down very quickly. So this is the order, okay? This is the order in which you're multiplying by. First, you're gonna do B times D, and then A times D. So, so this part goes first, and then this, and then, so you do BD, AD, and then you do BC, like this, and then you do AC over here. Like that. That's the kind of the best way I can explain it. I mean, with negative integers, I mean, that was just a review, right? We should already know how to do this. But the point is that negative and positive integers, so like -3 times -4, negative times negative is going to be 12. I have -5 times -37. That'll be 37 times 5. You do 7 times 5, that's 35. You put the 5 here. You bring the 3 up here. 3 times 5, that's 15. Plus 3 is 18. I kind of went off a tangent when I was talking about like multiplying in general. But that is for those of you who don't understand exactly how it works. It is very important that you understand how to do multiplication, also division. You know, by the time that you kind of, you know, like if you don't understand how to do that, it's very important that you learn how to do it, because that is really a very basic skill. Like basically adding, multiplying, dividing, subtracting. It's just that with integers is a little bit different. So like if I have negative, I don't know, let's just kind of mix it up a little bit. So let's say I have -3 times 1 over 3. What is this? -3 times 1, that's -3. Or let's do it this way. Like that. -3 times 1 divided by 3. Or you do PEMDAS, right? And I don't know if you've learned about PEMDAS, but PEMDAS is, we have parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Right. I've also heard of please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Aunt Sally, excuse me. But we don't have to worry about that. So we have -3 times 1, that's -3, and then divided by 3, that's -1. And so the thing about the order of operations, that's a very different topic, but this the point of this is that I wanted to make sure that we understand how to multiply whole numbers and multiply positive with negative and negative with positive, negative with negative, etc. So just remember these three rules and you know, basically I also went over a very basic, or actually two very basic examples for how we actually do this, how we actually multiply in general, right? Dividing is another thing. Dividing goes the same way for dividing. If I say, for example, negative over a positive, that's negative. Positive over positive, that's positive. If I say positive over negative, that's a negative. So for example, if I say like, let's say 236 divided by 2, and this is a very basic example because I want to make sure we understand how to divide numbers before we actually get to negatives, right? So 236, and I'm going to divide it by 2, right? We always put the biggest number on the inside, right? We always put the biggest number on the inside. That is a very important thing to do. And the way that we do it is basically we have, so if we kind of do our multiples of 2, so if you kind of do 2, and then what is 2 plus 2? That's 4. What is 4 plus 2? That's 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 plus 2 is 12. 12 plus 2 is 14. So how many times does 2 go into 2? Well, we said we know that 2 divided by 2 is 1, right? So we're going to put a 1 here. And then we're going to go ahead and 2 times 1 is 2, so we move it over here. And then we subtract. That is 0. And then we say, okay, how many times does 2 go into 3? Well, that's only 1, really, because that's the closest one which you can go with, right? We're not going to put decimals. We're going to put whole numbers. It's 2. Or, I'm sorry, it's a 1 right here. So then we bring the 3 down. What is 2 times 1? That is 2 again. And then we subtract again. 3 minus 2, that's 1, right? And then we bring down the 6, right? So every time you subtract a number here, it's like I did over here, right? I subtracted a number. I subtracted a number here. So I brought the other number here down. So every time you subtract a number in division, like basically every time you subtract a number so basically every time I subtract a number here, I always bring the next number down. That's what I'm trying to say. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. But we always do it this way. So like if I have 108 divided by 3, we would say, so we have 3, 6, 9, 12. So the closest it can get to is 3. So 3 times 3, that's 9. 10 minus 9, that's 1. And basically we know that, and we're going to bring down so we do like this, right? We subtract. and 10 minus 9 is 1, and then we bring down the 8. Well, what is 18 divided by 3? That's 6, right? So let me do one more example of these. If I have 1024 divided by 2, I'm going to say, well, number 1, what is 1 divided by 2? Well, in reality, we can't do that. So we're just going to put a 0. Because it cannot go into, it can, if I just look at, like, if we just have something like this, in reality, that cannot happen. That's why we put a 0 there, a 0 placeholder. So anytime you see something like this and you have other numbers like 4, 5, 6, and you're going to always put a 0 if it doesn't go into that number, right? And then we have 2 times 0, that's 0. So then we bring down the 0 here, and then we say, okay, what is 10 divided by 2? And again, it's so important that we understand the at least how division works, right? If I say, okay, well, 10 divided by 2, that means that I would have 10 things, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me see, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I make 2 groups. Or I actually make I actually try to make it each like in groups of 2. So 2 like this, and then I go like this, and then like this, and like this. And how many is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's really just 5. So I say, okay, this is 10. And now I know that I'm subtracting, right? So this is 0. And now we bring this one down, 2. How many times does 2 go into 2? That's just going to be 1. And then I say, okay, well, 1 times 2, that's 2. So then I have, okay, so then I say 2 minus 2, how much is that? That's 0. And then I say, how many times does, I bring down my 4, right? How many times does 2 go in a 4? That's really just 2. Think of this as a times, right? So then I have 4 like this. And then my answer to this question, 1024 divided by 2, is 512. Now let's pretend that, what if it was like negative 1024 over 2? Well, like I said, a negative over a positive, so like this, is always a negative. So this would really be negative 512. And then what if I have negative 1024 over negative 2? Well, that's really just 512. So that is how division works, okay? So if anybody has any questions, please let me know. If you have any, if anybody's wondering, like, still how to do this, and if you're kind of confused with anything, please let me know. So yeah, I don't want to, like, thing is that I don't, this is very simple arithmetic, and the thing is that if we don't understand these rules, so let me just recap the rules, okay? I said negative times negative is positive. And then I also said positive times negative is negative, right? And then I also said negative times negative is positive. So these are the three rules, and also the following rules for division. This is for multiplication. And then for division, it's literally the same thing. The reason why I didn't go over division so in depth was because it's the same thing. You would do, so division, you would do negative, so it'd be negative over negative is positive. So negative over negative is positive. Negative over positive. So really it works like this. Negative divided by positive is negative. Negative divided by a negative, and if you'll hear an airplane, I do apologize, is going to be positive, and then positive divided by negative, or I'm sorry, positive is positive. There was a whole chart that they did do, kind of like this, and where they have a kind of like that. I'm not sure exactly how that works. If somebody could tell me how that works, I would really appreciate it. But that is another thing that they used in like middle school math. But yes, this is really just how it works with multiplication and division, okay? Okay guys, so that is it for this video. This one was a little longer than the last one, and that is because, well, yeah, I mean, I thought this one was going to be a little bit quicker, or actually it was I'm thinking it was as long as the last one, or a little longer, or no, it was as long as the last one, actually, but, if anybody has any questions, let me know. This is really just, I mean, this is what, in pre-algebra, this is what you kind of relearn again, but it's, all we really have to know is these rules. Like, we should already know how to do multiplication, division, in general. I did go over that very quickly, because just to review how to multiply numbers and divide numbers, right? But that is something that we should already know by now. Basically, the rule is, the main thing that I want everybody to take away from this is, where are they? Hold on. Is these rules right here. I really want everyone to kind of just you know, kind of ingrain these into your memory because these are very important once you get to algebra, and you're not going to be able to like remember these things once you get to algebra, because once you get to algebra you're going to have to remember like how these are done and why and etc. Once you get to algebra, this actually, in my own opinion, makes a lot more sense, right? And the reason I feel like in arithmetic, the reason why it's a lot harder is because we are not given any kind of, I feel like there are no kind of like rules. And I feel like once you get to algebra, they give you, it's more clear why these rules are the way they are, especially with, you know, with multiplication and division, and also with addition and subtraction. Okay. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. Please like, comment, and or subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.